You're selling the car, and this car had error messages.
Yes, it did. Several.
You saw that there were warning lights.
Yes.
So what did you do?
Standard procedures to clear it.
You can clear the error message, but that doesn't make the problem go away.
This is Judy Justice.
I tried to purchase a handgun.
The Department of Justice had said do not release the firearm.
If you're convicted with a felony, it's for life that you cannot have firearm.
Oh. Did you ever go to prison?
No, I wouldn't say prison.
This is Judy Justice. Yunta Chow is suing gun shop owner David Liu for the refund of a firearm.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Kevin.
Case number 1149, Chow versus Liu.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chow, what jurisdiction do you come from?
I don't understand.
What state do you come from?
Oh, California.
How long have you lived here?
I lived here all my life. 35 years.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm currently unemployed, but before that I was in human resources.
For how long?
For 2 years.
Your complaint is a simple one. You felt, according to you, the need to have a firearm for protection.
That's correct.
Was this the first time you had felt the need for a firearm?
Yes, Your Honor. Especially during earlier this year and last year, due to Asian hate crimes, I felt like not safe to the point. I didn't know if they were going to rob me at my car or if they were going to burglarize my house. So I felt the need.
What kind of premises do you live in?
I live in an apartment complex.
Had you in the past been threatened?
No, only.
No.
No.
The defendant owns a gun shop
Yes, you are.
in California.
Correct.
How long have you owned that shop, Mr. Liu?
6 years.
Is it close by to where you live?
Correct.
You went to Mr. Liu's shop to purchase a gun. What kind of a gun did you want?
I tried to purchase a handgun, which is a 9mm.
You wanted a 9mm gun. Had you had any training
No.
with a gun? And you had never applied for a gun permit before.
Correct.
But according to what I read in your complaint, 13 years ago, while you were in your 20s,
Correct.
early 20s, you had had either an arrest or a conviction for something. Was it gun related?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever go to prison?
No, I wouldn't say prison. I went to another form of imprisonment. I forgot. It was like county. I'm not too sure. It was to the point where everyone that committed a crime was like together in a grouping of a household.
Like a halfway house?
Somewhat like that.
Could you leave the house?
No, you only can leave to do your work premises that was supervised by the
Off premises or
yes,
on?
off premises.
Off premises.
Correct.
Okay. Was that part of your sentence? Was that your sentence?
No, that was just a part of just earning good time so I could be released early.
So you were never in prison?
Not in prison in that sense to the point where I was locked down like 24/7 or anything of that nature, no.
Okay, and how long did you have to remain in that kind of facility?
I only stayed there close to 3 months, and then I was released.
Was it a drug-related crime?
No.
Since that time, 13 years ago, have you ever been arrested again?
No.
Was that the first time you had been arrested?
Correct.
So that was the first and only time you...
The first and only time as a young adult, yes. Prior to that, during my younger years, of course, I was hanging around the wrong crowd because I lived originally from Oakland, California. It's a really rough neighborhood during that time. I associated myself with the wrong crowd, which from
So
there...
you were arrested as a juvenile?
Yes, correct.
And this was the first arrest and conviction as an adult?
Correct.
What date did you go in to seek to purchase a weapon?
It was on May 21st, 2021.
And as part of that process, you have to fill out paperwork.
Yes.
Would you explain the paperwork process to me, Mr. Liu?
Okay, for California resident, if you need to buy a firearm, first of all, you have to take a firearm safety certificate test, which is...
Okay. Did he have that test?
Yes.
So you had a certificate to show him?
Correct.
So you had taken some training?
No, I took it that same very day because initially that's what he was part of the process of purchasing a firearm.
So where did you go to take the test?
At the same location, at his shop.
So you showed him how to use it and gave him the certificate?
I don't have to show him how to use the gun, but it's his responsibility to know how to use the firearm.
Well, what is the certificate is what I'm asking you.
The certificate contains like 30 questions, including basic firearm laws.
No, do you have a copy of it?
No, Your Honor.
Do you have a copy of it? I'd like to see it. Learning something.
Something new every day.
Well, this is a dealer record of sale of firearm. What is the certificate we're talking about that he has to fill out?
The test come up with 30 questions, 10 true and false, 20 multiple choice.
Well, I'd like to see the copy of the test.
I don't have the test, Your Honor, because he didn't ask me to refund him the test.
Just a second. Sarah, can you look up test for firearm, a certificate, and that's required by the state of California.
Firearm safety certificate.
Firearm safety certificate. Just curious what it looks like. So he filled out the form. He got the certificate from you. He filled out the form in front of you, and then you have to fill out another form.
After he took the test, he passed the test.
What kind of test did he have to pass?
The firearm safety certificate.
Did you study before you went?
No, I just had knowledge of just a firearm in general. It was just a lot of common sense questions that you have in regards to California law.
I have the test.
Could I take a look at it, Sarah?
So this is a 50-page study guide for the test, and this is a self-test example of what the test is.
Thank you. You know I'm going to lose this whole thing.
No, you've got it. It's touchscreen.
A safe practice when handling it. Turn to page 4. Know your target. As a safety measure, you should always be pointed to the north, to the safest spots up and down. One of the safety rules to know is how to properly clear a malfunction. Turn to page 5.
So there's a bunch of lists of different topics that you should study for before the test, and then on this document, there's a few practice questions. The test would just be those few questions in the beginning. It would be, like he said, 20 multiple choice and 10 true false.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence that he lied on this application? That's either a yes or a no. That's
Yes.
not a well.
In California, if you're convicted with a felony, it's for life that you cannot have a firearm.
Chow claims gun shop owner David Liu owes him a refund after purchasing a gun he never received.
Okay, just curious, Mr. Chow. Did you fill out the answers to these questions?
Yes, I did.
Did the defendant help you?
No.
How long did it take you to fill out the form?
It took about maybe 20 minutes or so.
And after you filled out that form, then there's this
Correct.
document, because he has to be approved by the Department of Justice, is that
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
Okay, well, this is the purchaser's record of sale of firearm, and it says, has the purchaser ever been convicted of a felony or an offense as defined in the Penal Code in the last 10 years? Based upon Mr. Chow, his conviction was 13 years ago, is that right? So he answered the question, no. And you purchased the gun,
Correct.
but you did not give him the gun until after you got an approval from the Department of Justice.
Correct.
And so that was May 21st.
Correct.
How long did Mr. Liu, based upon your business of experience of 6 years, does it usually take to hear back from the Department of Justice?
Usually, it would take about 2 to 4 days, depends on how busy they are, to get back to me.
Okay, and this
Only
is
when they get denied, reject, or some other reason. Otherwise, after 10 days, the owner can come and pick up the firearm. So you will have at least 10 days for the Department of Justice to do the background check.
Okay,
Yep. And during the pandemic, sometimes delayed it to 14 days.
of course.
But if the purchaser is denied, reject, or something, usually that will come electronically,
Okay.
Much faster.
In Mr. Chow's case, did you receive notification from the Department of Justice?
Yes.
Okay, he came and he paid you for the gun. How much did you pay him for the gun?
I paid with tax and other fees. In total, it will be $1,370. I have the invoice here as well, too.
Okay. He doesn't dispute the amount. And when you heard back from the Department of Justice, on what date did you hear from the Department of Justice?
I got the notice on May 28th.
And do you have a copy of that notice?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
And this is the electronic version, and also the denied.
Thank you. Okay, so you were advised on the 28th, a week later, that the Department of Justice had said do not release the firearm to the purchaser.
Correct.
When did you notify the plaintiff?
On the same day, I sent him a text message.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you ask why?
No, I just essentially went directly to a refund from that point on. I didn't ask why as of yet.
Okay, so from the May 28th on, you knew that you could not release the firearm that you were holding for the plaintiff for which you were paid $1,370.
Correct.
If we were to examine your records, sir, how many weapons did you sell that week?
Really depends.
No. If we were to examine your records from the 25th, 26th, 27th, those 3 days, how many guns would you say you sold? How many a day do you sell?
Well, during the pandemic, it's crazy. I can sell maybe 20 guns a day.
And you hold them
Correct.
until you get notification.
Correct.
Now, this is the case. You were denied for that. You will have to take that up with the Department of Justice, if you wish. Your case is simple. You have the gun. You know you can't sell it to him. And you have his $1,370. Now, I would like you to explain to me, sir, why you think he's not entitled to his $1,370 back. And explain to this face, very slowly,
Yes.
why somebody who has been in business thinks that for holding on to this gun for 5 days, when he did not lie in his application, because according to this, his conviction was 13 years ago. So unless you have information to the contrary, which I will see, because certainly if he lied on the application, I might feel a little bit sympathetic if you said I could have sold the gun 10 times over, but I held it because he lied on the application. So first, do you have any evidence that he lied on this application? That's either a yes or a no. That's not a well. Yes. What is that evidence?
Because on the FSC, the Firearm Safety Certificate test, there's one question. In California, if you're convicted with a felony, it's for life that you cannot have firearm.
See if you can find that. But that's not the application that you sent to the Department of Justice.
Yes, and also there's a form he has to fill out for the...
Just a second, but
Yes.
he wasn't denied from the state of California.
He also filled out the form 4473 for the federal government.
Can I see it?
And there's the same question he say no.
May I see it? This is from the U.S. Department of Justice. Did you fill this out, sir?
I think I did. I'm not too sure because I did not receive a copy. The only copy I received was that.
Well, it looks like you filled it out. This is a sort of ambiguous question. It says, have you ever been convicted in any court, including a military court, of a felony or any other crime for which the judge could have imprisoned you for more than 1 year, even if you received a shorter sentence, including probation?
So it is unlawful for any person who's been convicted of or has an outstanding warrant for any felony, as well as there's a list of specific misdemeanors that also prohibit the ownership of a firearm.
Okay. So what your statement is, this application was accurate, and what you indicate is that this application, which goes to the U.S. Department of Justice, he said he had not been, when in fact he had been.
Yes.
Okay. So, Kevin, would you show this to the plaintiff, please? It looks as if, sir, you filled that out.
Okay.
And it's signed by you. I verified the signature.
No, I didn't mark a no on that.
Okay, got it. Now, sir, so now he marked a no when he should have written a yes for something that happened 13 years ago, for which he was not really in a prison, according to him. Sort of a halfway residence where he was able to leave, go to work, outside work, and then come back. And he spent 3 months there. According to him, you have no information to the contrary. And for the last 13 years, he has not had any subsequent convictions. Now you have to explain to me why you think he is not entitled to most, if not all, of his money back.
Okay, because in my shop, there are numerous people with felony or something, and they will try and come to buy firearm. That's why in all our contract, not only in the small print, also in the red print, we explain to them if they get denied in any way, there's no refund.
May I see it, please?
And also at the store, we have signs everywhere to tell people that...
Now, I want to see the... I'm not interested in the signs. I'm interested in something that he signed.
This is just one way...
Just a second. This just says there will be no refund. It doesn't say if you're denied because of
No
something.
refund in any way.
It says no refund in any way. It says firearm has to pay in full. And then there's a crossing out. Upon any cancellation, deny, or revoke, there will be a 30% restocking fee. But that's crossed out.
Yes, because during the pandemic, all the guns are special order. They were so limited, we can't get any gun in.
Yeah,
That's why
firearm has to be paid in full.
That's why we have
and
the
it's
red print.
crossed out. The crossed out upon any cancellation, deny, or revoke, there will be a 30% restocking fee. That's crossed out.
That's crossed out
But
before he
all
signed.
firearms are special order. Well, that's not particularly so in this case. It was not a special order. You had it in the shop.
It was a special order, Your
No,
Honor.
no. Mr. Liu, did you resell the gun? I want you to think very carefully. It's got a serial number on it.
Yes.
Just a second. It's got a serial number, so it's easy to check. Did you come back more than once, sir?
No.
Okay. So that the gun that he showed you, he had in the store.
Correct. He had.
And that is the gun that you purchased.
That is correct.
And that is the gun that you paid for. Did you ask him to modify the gun in any way?
No, I did not.
Did you modify the gun?
No, we
in
cannot
any-
do that.
Hmm?
We cannot do that.
Okay, so the gun that you showed Mr. Chow was the gun that he selected. It was not modified in any way. You were holding it pending receipt of this. This came back. He could not purchase the gun. At most, if you hadn't crossed out this section, you would have been entitled to a 30% restocking fee for the gun, but you crossed it out. It's crossed out of your contract. So, Mr. Liu, he's entitled to his money back. Did you resell the gun? I want you to think very carefully. It's got a serial number on it.
Yes.
Just a second. It's got a serial number, and so it's easy to check.
Yes, I'm being
Did you
very honest to you.
Of
Yes.
course. Did you resell the gun?
Yes.
Yes. And how much did you resell the gun for?
I have to check because the prices was vary because during the
Okay,
pandemic.
just a second. So it was up and down.
Yes.
Some people paid a little more and some people paid a little less. So you actually got paid twice for this gun.
Yes.
How much did you pay for the gun?
With add on everything.
No, don't add on anything. Just tell me, how much did you pay for the gun? Your cost?
Your Honor, because the gun during the pandemic is so different.
No, I just asked you, sir.
To make
I
me to buy
asked-
other things to go with the gun.
No,
so
no,
it's,
listen to me.
yes.
Mr. Liu, I'm a very simple girl, born and raised in Brooklyn, and I'm really not good in math. It's a gene, this math gene is a gene, unfortunately, that I passed on to my children, and they passed on to their children. So I want to ask you a question that's very simple. You sold him this gun for $13.70. You sold it again for around the same price. Let's say you sold it for $1,200. So now we have $2,500 that you have for this gun. I want to know how much you paid for it. You don't have to give me the exact amount.
I paid
Sarah
close
could
to
look it up.
$600.
Hmm?
I paid close to $600.
Close to $6.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty substantial amount of profit that you made on that one gun. Even if you sold it to somebody else for $1,200, you would have had a pretty substantial profit on that gun. So you're going to give Mr. Chow his money back because he deserves it back. And you resold the gun and you had no damages from the fact that none whatsoever. It's not as if you got stuck with the gun. And the contract can actually be interpreted in his favor. And I think a reasonable person, and that would be me because I'm a very reasonable person. Am I a reasonable person, Whitney? Very reasonable. See, Whitney thinks I'm a reasonable person. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,370. We're finished. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
If there's a convicted felon, he should never even step into a gun shop.
I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. My friend called me up to go pick him up, and because of that, I was convicted.
And he went to a gun shop, tried to buy a gun.
I didn't do research till after I was denied a refund. That's when I actually went through the extensive search of like the history of owning a firearm.
And I'm surprised he will come to gun shop and try to buy a gun.
I'm ecstatic actually for the judgment.
So I actually disagree with you on that last one. I think that people really have to read the contracts that they're signing, and they are bound by those written contracts. And I understand that you interpreted it in a certain way, and that's how you made your decision to give him his refund. But I think that if courts continue to do that and continue to bail people out after they don't read things that they're signing that have legal significance, I think the courts are going to be bogged down with people looking for refunds when they signed something that they were bound by, saying they don't get one.
Okay, it's a perspective. I felt comfortable with giving his money back because there was a condition precedent upon which he could take possession of the gun. And the condition precedent was approval by the Department of Justice. He couldn't actually take possession of the property. Now, I can understand that if you got possession of the gun, you took it home, you said, you know what, this is too hard. I tried to shoot it, I couldn't shoot it. I want to take it back. Well, I can understand that. No refund. You know, it's like wearing a dress and putting the tag inside, which I've never done, and then bringing it back the next day. But I know people who do that, so that's why it says no refund. But in this case, the condition precedent, which was getting approval, could not be realized. And I don't think it was through any
Fault of the plaintiff,
because that section that discussed a felony where you could have been in prison for more than 1 year, well, you don't remember if you've been convicted of one felony as an adult in your whole life, whether a judge could have sentenced you for more than a year, but sentenced you to only 3 months in a different kind of facility in a halfway house. So I don't think that he was trying to obfuscate the truth. I think that he tried to answer the questions honestly, and that he has not been in trouble for well over a decade. And the defendant had no loss.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also was sympathetic with the defendant speaking about in his gun shop having people who have felonies coming in constantly trying to get guns. How are you supposed to protect yourself as an owner of a shop that's trying to make money when that becomes a problem?
Absolutely right. That if you come in and you fill out the form and you're holding the form and you say, well, maybe somebody who's going to take a hiccup over at the Department of Justice when they look at my papers, maybe they'll put it through. And then you've taken that gun out of circulation. But that really wasn't the case in this case. And the defendant suffered no damage.
True.
He resold the gun, and it was really unjust for him to make 500% on his money. He made more than double on his money on the second sale.
Yeah.
So I think that it ended fairly.
No.
But I agree with you that too many people sign contracts and don't read the fine print. And then when something happens and somebody points out the fine print to them, they're surprised. So it's a good lesson.
Yeah.
You're right. You read the contract before you sign it. Take the extra 5 minutes.
Nicole Gustafson is suing car dealership owner Thomas Bushman for repair costs after purchasing a used car from Thomas.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Judge, case number 1144, Gustafson versus Bushman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gustafson, this your mom?
Yes, it is.
You were in the market for a car.
Yes.
A used car. You had a budget. You went to a place that was owned by the defendant,
Correct.
which is a car lot. You own a car lot?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And you picked out a car.
Yep.
Not a yep. That's a yes. What kind of car did you pick up?
It is a Chrysler 200.
What year?
I believe it's a 2013, but I'm not 100%.
How many miles does it have on it?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Does your mother know?
Probably.
How old are you?
27.
27. You should know the answers to all these questions. Is this your first car?
No.
What happened to your other cars? It's not an answer.
My last one, I actually was in an accident with a deer.
The last one was totaled.
Yes.
When was that?
May 2nd or 3rd.
And this one was purchased when?
May 27th of 2021.
2013.
Based on an estimate of 90,000 miles, 5,000 to 7,000.
How much did you pay for the car?
7,000.
With taxes.
Yep.
$64.95 without tax.
No, without tax.
Yeah.
$64.95.
Great. So, sort of right in the middle. You're not buying it from a private person. You know you're buying it from a lot. He's got to make money. Now you can sit down. If I need you again, I'll call you. When you went to look at the car, your mother had bought something called a fixed sensor. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Tell me what it is.
You plug it into a car sensor and it reads any error codes in the engine.
That's a very good thing to have when you go to buy a used car. And this car had error messages.
Yes, it did. Several.
Let me guess. You were the salesman. You work for him?
Yes.
Who signed the warranty for her?
She's not here. The salesperson's not here.
Why?
She's got other issues going on, ma'am. Sorry.
What is he doing here?
He's my mechanic, ma'am. And I was involved in a sale. That's why I didn't think...
But you were involved in the sale on the phone.
Correct.
She was involved in the sale and she signed the warranty slip.
Given permission from me, ma'am.
In any event, there were several errors on the car which should have given you, bing, this may be not the car for me. You bought it anyway, but you were smart enough to get some sort of a warranty. I'd like to see a copy of that warranty.
Absolutely. And there's a blown up message underneath it, too.
Okay, so a 30-day warranty. Do you have the original of this 30-day warranty?
That is the warrant. It was a verbal agreement. They were...
No.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
not a verbal agreement. That's in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 30-day warranty for what? Mr. Bushman, I know she didn't mean this. I know you didn't mean this. But this is what your representative signed and what you authorized. Because what happened is Miss Gustafson had trouble with the car. She called you and said she was having some difficulty. The engine light went on. Did you speak to him or someone else?
I text the sales girl.
Okay. Well, she's not here. And as a result of that conversation, you were sent to a mechanic that was a couple of hours away from where you live.
Correct.
Are you the mechanic?
Yes.
Your last name is?
Elias.
Mr. Elias?
Yes.
When she brought the car there, you work in conjunction with the defendant?
Yes.
Do you do all his mechanical work?
Yes.
You work out of your own shop?
Mr. Bushman's shop.
On the same premises where the cars are located?
Some of them.
Is the place where you brought the car, where you met Mr. Elias, the place where you purchased the car?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
So it was at a different location?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Elias, when the plaintiff brought you the car, you saw that there were warning lights.
Yes, a check engine light.
Check engine light, and you put the sensor in and you saw that there were certain codes.
One in particular.
Well, you know, one in particular doesn't tell me anything. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
When I see a flashing yellow light in the cabin of a plane and a red light in the cabin of a plane, I only want to see all green. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So one in particular doesn't really tell me anything. How many trouble spots did you see when you plugged in the sensor?
The check engine light was on for a possible faulty O2 sensor.
And anything else?
Not what my machine told me.
Just that one.
Just that one.
So what did you do?
Standard procedure is to clear it.
Just a second. So you cleared it.
Yes.
You took it off.
Then I
right?
proceeded to start the car 4 times.
Well, she started the car. She drove it to you. She drove it. She says 2 hours to you. That's not an indication of that everything is okay. That's an indication of you can clear the error message, but that doesn't make the problem go away.
The light had stayed in a state that said there was no problem with the car after it was cleared.
Mr. Bushman, when you spoke to your representative, you had to have been advised that this machine that she bought indicated that there were problems with the car, right?
Yes.
Which is why you said sell him the car, give him a warranty.
Yes, ma'am. So it was under my impression that they did not have a current code on it with her code that was reading. They said it was under history, but it was there. And I said, that's fine. We'll take care of it. Give her a 30-day warranty. We were only talking about the oxygen sensor.
You see, that may be okay, Mr. Bushman. And that may be what you meant. But when you have a writing, because you're the business guy, when you have a writing that you prepared, because your person prepared it, even when you go in to buy a new car, it says warranty, limited warranty. So, you know you have to be more specific.
Correct.
What do you think warranty means?
That if anything were to happen within that time limit, that he should have to fix it.
Or you return the car.
No, I didn't. And
So what you did was had work done on the car that was in excess of $4,000, close to the purchase price of the car.
yes,
You made a brand new car. You got new tires.
yes,
You got new brakes.
yes,
You got new everything.
yes.
But you can't do that. That's unreasonable. You didn't reasonably believe he was going to build you a new car.
No.
You have an opportunity. You could have said, I want to take this car to my mechanic, right?
Yes.
And check it out. You didn't do that.
And later today,
Tell me why you moved out of the apartment. Very, very easy. Tell me why you moved out of the apartment. Don't think about what's nice, what I want to hear.
Ma'am, may I speak, please?
Are you losing so far? So far. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's unreasonable.
May I say one thing?
Sure.
The mechanic that we took it to did state that the
You
tires...
cannot tell me what the mechanic stated. What you can do is show me the whole entire bill of what this mechanic did. And if the check engine light was a result of something in the engine, I think you were entitled to that back, but not anything else. Not entitled to a brand new car. Good. What?
Yes, ma'am. I have a text message thread on number 5 that I have labeled here saying they could go to the dealer of their choice, and I would take care of the oxygen sensor and specifically.
Well, I don't get. You can't modify this. Ex parte, one side, can't modify this contract. But there's a reasonableness read into this that if you buy a car and pay the value of the car, which she did, she paid the value of the car, paid an extra couple of bucks because that covers your expenses, and that there was a check engine light that went on. I have to see what else she did in the car because that would be an unreasonable interpretation of this to now make this car worth $11,000.
Your Honor, I did try to negotiate with him.
Oh, just a second. I asked you for a question. I just want to see what they did. This is a paid invoice. Balanced tires you're not entitled to. An alignment you're not entitled to. Transmission oil. Customer states replace transmission cooler hose. Mr. Elias, since you're the mechanic, would you find on here replace both license plate bulbs, ridiculous, place oil cooler? Kevin, show Mr. Elias this. Give him a pen, please. And have him circle the items on this. Anything that had to do with the check engine light. It had nothing to do with bulbs. It had nothing to do with anything that had to do with a check engine light. Circle them, please, because that's a reasonable interpretation of what the warranty is. You read all the pages?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Morales. 2 upstream oxygen sensors. 206. This is a whole lot of math that I hate. You know, math is not my favorite subject. Okay, I got this one, Sarah. Well, then they added labor. A lot was for labor. Labor that has to do with the whole project. And if you add to that a piece of this for the labor, if you add $600 for the labor, for everything that they fixed. So you have $600 plus the 206 is $806. Now, he sent you some money.
Correct.
How much did he send you?
$400.
What did you do with the check?
I still have it.
Okay, I suggest you cash it because then he owes you $406 because you didn't, nor did your mother actually reasonably believe he was going to build you a new car.
No.
Put on tires and brakes. You have an opportunity. You could have said, I want to take this car to my mechanic, right?
Yes.
And check it out. You didn't do that. What?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, in Wisconsin, we have something called a disclosure law. And on that, he had put that everything on the car, including, you're supposed to, in Wisconsin, you have to tell somebody if there's a little leak, if there's any issues. So he marked it all that everything on the car was perfect. Now, we didn't
No,
sign
just a
or
second.
redo it until...
I would like you to show me where he said everything in the car was perfect.
Yeah, no problem.
I would like to see it.
We have 2 copies, 2 different ones.
Well,
that are
just a
different.
second. If he said, who said?
Which, I don't know if it's the mechanic or the owner, it's signed that
What do you
everything
mean?
on the car was in perfect order.
No, just a second. I'm just reading this. Okay. He says it must be in proper working condition. Miss Gustafson,
Yes.
you drove this car for 2 hours, you say in your complaint, from someplace to his shop.
Correct.
Were you on a highway?
Yes.
Did you get off the highway?
Yes.
When you got off the highway, did you brake to stop?
Yes.
You didn't stick your foot out.
No.
So the brakes worked.
Yes.
And the car drove for at least 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, not
Yes.
yup. That's yes. $406. We're finished. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Court is adjourned.
I'm not unhappy with it. I never actually expected him to pay the $4,000, just what I thought he should pay.
I do feel like we got taken advantage of. We sold over 3,000 cars the last 11 years. This is our first lawsuit that we've ever had.
After he cleared the codes, I said, well, we brought the car here to be fixed, not for you to just clear all those codes out. And he said, well, can't fix what isn't there anymore.
I never said that to her at all.
Definitely bring one of them fixed tools.
It's over. It's done with. We can move on. I'm glad she got what she wanted. Unfortunately, I don't think it was fair, but that's life sometimes, right?
I think this is a good lesson for business owners that if you're going to provide a warranty or a service, I understand that this was his representative that just wrote 30-day warranty, but you're going to be bound by that. So if it's important to you to limit it to a certain sensor or a certain issue, you have to be sure to put that in writing because, as you said, you can't one-sided change the
Can
contract.
modify what's in writing. Yes, but you have to build in, I think that you have to build in a reasonableness into that warranty. And her mother was wrong. When you buy a used car, nothing is in perfect condition. It's not even in perfect condition sometimes when you buy a new car.
True.
Even in a new car, you have limited warranties. But really, it's on the merchant who is preparing the contract to specify what is included in this warranty. It's a very good lesson.
Case number 1007, Sacred versus Santana. Please step forward.
Brittany Sacra is suing her cousin, Chanel Santana, for unpaid rent, property damage, and a personal loan.
You're Brittany Sakar,
Yes, Your Honor.
and this is your cousin?
Yes,
Were you close cousins?
always.
Tell me when your cousin moved in with you.
She moved in of June of 2019.
Why?
She had gotten evicted from her apartment and she needed a place to go, so I had a basement apartment for rent.
Miss Santana, why were you evicted from your previous apartment?
I started having seizures and I was on a leave of absence for work for quite some time, and it took me a while to catch up, so
So you were evicted for non-payment of rent.
yes.
And I assume that when you moved in with your cousin, you told her why you were evicted.
Yeah.
That would be natural.
Yes, she did.
Were you back to work?
Yes.
Was there any reason why you didn't catch up with rent in your old apartment?
It was just too much. I fell behind maybe about like 2 months. I was on leave of absence for 2 months, so trying to pay current and back pay wasn't.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Got it. You agreed to pay rent when you moved in?
Yes, I did.
And how much rent were you going to pay?
$950.
Moved in what month and year?
June of 2019.
Did you pay rent in June?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole $950?
Yes.
What about July?
Yes. I paid the full $950.
What about August?
Yes.
How long did you stay with your cousin?
A little over a year and a half.
What month did you move out?
December of 2020.
Did you pay rent in December?
No, ma'am.
Did you stay there at all in December?
Barely.
What is a barely?
I was traveling a lot.
But your things were there.
Yes.
Okay. And what date in December did you remove your things?
Like the 30th.
Okay, so you were living there until the 30th. If your things are there, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rule. Now, you want to tell me about these loans? Tell me when you made loans to her and what purpose. And then I'm going to ask you, why did you give her any more money if she hadn't paid you back the original money? Okay, did you pay rent in November?
No.
Why not?
Wasn't able to.
Tell me why not.
Aside or outside of my job situation, when she crashed my car, it was kind of like an even trade.
Okay, so you want to get into an accident that she had when she was driving your car.
Yes.
And when was that accident?
That was in March of 2020.
So in March of 2020, she had an accident with your car, because I read about that in your papers. But you paid rent to her in March and April and May and June and July and August and September and October, right? You paid rent.
Yes.
So what made you decide in November of 2020 that it was a trade-off with the car?
Well, it was a previous conversation that we had, and being that she had purchased, the home from her mom, I was just trying to be as helpful as I could while I was in a more stable position. But then once I lost my job in July, it was hard for me to really keep up with anything.
Well, you lost your job in July, but you did in fact continue to pay rent until November.
Well, she didn't pay October's rent, Your Honor. She didn't pay for October, she didn't pay November, and she didn't pay December.
So there was an additional month of
Yes.
October.
And this vehicle she's talking about, it was in 2019 because I got ticketed and I had to pay hundreds of dollars for tickets for her vehicle.
Did you crash her car?
I did. There was the
Okay, so
animal
that's-
that hit the vehicle, yes. But I gave her $1,000 for her deductible.
Are you still driving that car?
No, her vehicle, it was her vehicle and it was up for repossession.
Okay. After the accident, was she still able to drive the car?
No,
Okay, so that must have been a pretty substantial accident.
correct.
So she wasn't able to drive it. You weren't able to drive it. Did you have permission to drive the car that night?
Yes, she did give me permission.
Okay. 950 times 30.
$2,850.
Tell me why you moved out of the apartment.
Aside from... Sorry about that.
Very, very easy. Tell me why you moved out of the apartment. Don't think about what's nice, what I want to hear.
Oh, no, it's not that. Aside from her saying that I wasn't paying her rent, which I felt like I didn't need to, it was also, the situation with her boyfriend or fiance, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it became too much of a stressful and strenuous situation for me.
Okay, so there was some sort of social friction with your cousin.
Yes, it was a lot of friction between him and I.
Okay, well, as far as the rent is concerned, there's no question that you owe her $2,850. for the 3 months that you didn't pay rent. You have no counterclaim. It has anything to do with the car, so I don't have to hear anything more about the car. What else do you think your cousin owes you?
Your Honor, she owes me for damages that she has done to my property, the furniture she left in my home.
So she just left it and you had to have it removed?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just a second. Do you have a receipt from the person who removed the trash from the home?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. Kevin?
Thank you.
That's not a receipt. That's a nothing. That's a nothing that I believe.
Okay.
It's something that you buy in the store.
Well, that's
And you make a blow up, and you make a blow up of. $28.50. What's next?
The damages that she did to the basement apartment. I had to purchase a brand new stove because she ruined that.
How old was the stove that was there?
It was a year old.
You have the bill for the stove that was there?
Yes, I have the receipt for the one that I purchased.
Not the new one that you purchased, the one that was existing there that was a year old.
No, I don't.
I'm not interested.
Okay. I also have for the unpaid loans that I had lent her money for.
Okay. Now you want to tell me about these loans? Tell me when you made loans to her and what purpose?
They were for various different things.
I'm not talking about you giving your cousin $10 here, $20 there, $50 there. I'm talking about a loan that you made to her that she asked you for, and you said you have to pay me back, and she didn't. And then I'm going to ask you, why did you give her any more money if she hadn't paid you back the original money? So let's start out. Month, day, and year you made her the first loan.
Well, I had given her a loan to get her tooth extracted.
Month, day, and year.
This was on February 25th of 2020, and it was for $419.95.
Miss Santana, did you pay her back the $419?
No.
Okay, what's next?
And then I also had a bank transfer to her on July 22nd of 2020 for $386.
For what?
She said that she needed to pay because she had gotten a DUI. She had 2, and she had to pay her attorney.
No denying.
What's next?
And the rest were just small personal loans that I had lent her money.
All together now.
$3,655.95, Your Honor.
55?
Yes.
Anything else?
Aside from the cash apps, no.
When was the last time you spoke to your cousin?
The day I moved out.
Do you see each other at family get-togethers? Anything else?
No.
No, I won't come if she's there.
Okay. That's too bad. Is that because of this money, or is that because of a social situation?
It's both.
36.55.55?
95.
Your Honor, I also have a receipt for the deep clean that I had to pay for when she moved out of my property because she left it in disgusting manner.
Okay. You'd have to clean it anyway. 36.55.95. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Court adjourned.
Yeah, I probably should pay her back for the tooth and the $386 that she loaned me. But besides that, like, I shouldn't owe her any type of back pay or rent or anything like that.
She left my apartment filthy and disgusting, so I believe I should have got the full amount.
She asked her if she had permission. She didn't ask me if I gave her permission.
The car was up for repo because, of course, she doesn't pay her bills.
I mean, it is what it is.
Now, I don't even know why I even let her move in. This is not the first time or the first family member she's done this to.
There seems to be more to that case than just some unpaid rent amongst cousins. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that there was social stuff going on there. But, you know, we had a case just recently with relatives living together, and it's really very hard to live with somebody else. And sometimes when that happens and you try it and it doesn't work out, then whole families are torn apart. You know, everybody takes sides. Good advice. Live separately when you can. Get together at cousins' clubs. I don't know what to tell you. But I do think she owed her the rent. Anyway, easy case. Some are easy, some not.